Welcome everyone to another edition of the Burnout Post Phoenix edition. The race just wrapped up. Drew, what are your thoughts?
I'm just here so I don't get fined.
Well, I'm basically there with you. Um, just another just not good race. The new car has not produced like it did last year, in my view. Today's race was very lackluster. A bunch of short versus long run speed, but without the typical comers and goers. I mean, you had movement for a couple laps after the starts, and then it just seemed like cars got stuck side by side or right near each other. They made the racing closer, but uh, that's about it. Close racing doesn't mean good racing, but at the front, it was the opposite of close. And then they had the Harrison Burton incident, who that's a different story for a different day. Um, just not a good race in my view.
Everything's great, as Kyle Busch said. Looking forward to getting in my car this weekend and having a good time. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yep, because Atlanta may actually produce a good race.
Yeah, I'm not exactly optimistic about this championship weekend at Phoenix
No,
this
the
fall.
the championship race should not be there.
Nah, it's overall this weekend. Expectations were, I'll admit, they were slightly raised with all the rumblings of this new package they were rolling out, but holy moly, they missed big time.
Yes.
So yeah, a little bit of drama late. Um, Harvick went out and passed Larson. Ended up going out and getting a pretty big lead with about, I think it was 10, maybe 12 to go when the caution came out. Everything came back and we reset everything, and then we got a Hendrick 1-2 for those final two restarts. And I don't even know where Larson ended, or not. I don't even know where
Blaney got
Larson.
second in the actual finish, but yeah, they did start front row.
Yeah, and all pandemonium broke loose for half a lap, and then
Yeah,
Byron went
and
away.
and Phoenix is not a track set up for like a side by side finish at the line. It's set up where if you're not beside the leader down the backstretch, you have no shot of passing him in that final corner, which is like the worst case scenario for a race that like that. I mean,
2021 Daniel Hemrick begs to differ.
well, they were side by side down the backstretch, I bet.
No, Hemrick undercut it and then came down and beat him by, what he beat him. But that's neither here nor there. We're talking about today. Today sucked. Nuke this track, nuke Texas, nuke Vegas, nuke this
Richmond,
package. Let's just go back. Yes, Richmond. Let's just go back. Let's bring back the car tomorrow.
let's bring back the Gen 4, the Gen
Uh,
2,
Something, but that's ridiculous. We might as well just run go karts out there. With that being
whatever.
said, I am optimistic about Phoenix or Atlanta. I think Atlanta's going to put on a pretty good race.
Yes.
Um, we talked about it last night. The weather looks like it's going to be really cold, which I think will bunch them up even more. Which will, I mean, there's obviously quite a bit of pack racing there to begin with, but I think that's just gonna add a whole new element. The only thing that scares me is there might not be a lot of passing
Yeah,
with
because it's so narrow.
that. So I do expect there to be chaos nonetheless, but we'll see what happens. All in all, expectations are definitely raised from what they are at Phoenix, but still just abysmal display today.
Question for you. Are you more optimistic or less optimistic for Martinsville after today? Or
Um,
the same?
Not really overly optimistic. I feel it's going to be improved from what it was last year, and it's Martinsville, so I think it's going to be a little bit tighter. Martinsville is
Mhm.
always a lot of bumping and begging, but I don't think it's going to be um anything crazy by any means. With that
Yeah.
being said, I think it's going to be a better race than Phoenix.
Yeah. No,
How
I
about you?
agree. No, I agree. I actually, my expectations actually went up a little bit for Martinsville because I do think the cars were closer and there was more passing, but it did just seem there was something still not right. I mean, the package is not perfect, but last year at Martinsville, especially the spring race, there was like no passing at all. So I do have a little bit more hope now, just because you didn't know, at all going in. So we'll see. And the weather has a lot to do with it. It was freezing last year at Martinsville, and that had a lot to do with it. Too much grip. So we'll see.
Well, if it's an indication, I mean, I don't think the weather's going to change entirely too much. That spring race is generally pretty daggone cold.
Yeah.
But I mean, it is what it is. One thing I will say that caught me by surprise, which I did like, two things: the fact that we ran that. Well, obviously, we're going to run the rain package, with all the equipment and everything on there. I was kind of surprised to see the windshield wipers on there at practice on Friday, and I was even more surprised to see them take them off today, which I think they look hideous
Yeah.
on them when they're not necessary. I'm so glad NASCAR made the decision to pull them off
Are
when
you
they did.
are you buying or selling NASCAR racing in the rain on ovals?
I would like to see it happen.
I'm gonna
I like
buy it right now until
I
I
like
see
to see a
something good.
lap. I think this could very well turn into chaos. My question
A
is,
chaos
okay,
monsoon, no pun intended.
let me ask you this. Um, are we doing this Formula One style where you pull a Lando Norris and you run until you physically cannot run on slicks anymore? Or are we going to throw a yellow at one
No,
time?
NASCAR crew chiefs don't really have the balls to do that, as evidenced by today when you have driver and last week where you have drivers have no shot at winning any race other than restrictor plates, refuse to even stay out. Whenever they have an opportunity to maybe steal a race, you're going to finish last car on lead lap if you pit or if you don't pit. So why don't you just try something new? So I mean, to be quite honest with you, no one has the gumption to do that, in my opinion. That's sad to say, but I mean, that's where we are at this point.
So what I'm going to do if we get to a
It's going
point
to be follow the
where
leader.
it's like where it's like a Bristol dirt last year. Obviously, that's not the greatest example, but like wet wise, like it's not crazy wet, but it's enough to keep it like moist, a little bit moist, where you could kind of be in the middle. Like we don't have an intermediate tire, obviously, like Formula One does.
All right.
Are we gonna run around for lap upon lap and absolutely burn our wet tires up and burn that rubber that degrades even quicker?
Honestly, if you want my personal opinion, I think NASCAR would red flag the race at that point, and it would just be a complete waste of everybody's time because they're not. It's going to be a disaster the very first time, regardless. And
Oh,
I
no
think it's
doubt.
going to be such a disaster that they're never going to do it again.
Yeah, I could very well see that happening too. I just think there's so much that goes into it. I mean, you look at Daytona last year. I mean, we looked at it last night on the way back from Bucky's. The way that those cars hit when it just got a little bit moist in turn one last year at Daytona. I mean, those cars go flying, and you got a car going 20 miles an hour quicker on a short track because they've got grip your tires because they're those wet tires. And you got somebody going on slicks just trying to hang on for dear life, trying to make something out of it. Like we saw, who was it today? Who tried to make that? Was it Jones tried to do that
Yeah.
today?
Hmm.
Uh, try to hang on by the edge of their teeth and try to make something that's just going to end in a disaster. I don't know. It kind of takes away part of the strategy. And like I said, who's to say like if NASCAR goes and throws that yellow, brings everybody down for wet tires, and it just drizzles a little bit, and we're basically just chewing through tires because they don't need to be. I don't know.
Yeah.
I
I
don't.
don't either.
But who knows? Who knows? I think the only race that was more disappointing than this race today might have been the Xfinity race yesterday.
Yeah, that's pretty disappointing as well. Um, yeah, I have a lot to say about that race. That's particularly one driver and multiple incidents. And I'm just going to go ahead and tell you, I'm buying NASCAR. Um, trying to race in the rain. I think it's a good idea until it ends in disaster. But anyway, I'm going to sell Sam Mayer and his progression. He is going backwards, and he's wrecking his teammates. And I mean, the dude has been rushed so fast because of all the money behind him or whatever it is. I'm sure that's what it is. He is not ready for the stage he is on, and it is so clear he needs to be in a truck like tomorrow.
Get
Um,
in.
but it's not going to happen, and he's going to flounder another year in Xfinity and not win a race. I would like to see the kid win a race. I have nothing against him at all, but I mean, we're the improvement is just not showing at all, and this is the third year.
That's very
It's
true.
the same thing with Riley Herbst. I'm seeing all this. I'm seeing all of this. People are jumping on his bandwagon because he has all these top tens in a row. The dude is on his third or fourth year in winning equipment and hasn't even challenged for a win yet. Uh, there shouldn't be a bandwagon.
Let me ask you this:
Brandon
next
Jones at
year,
least won some races.
let me ask you this: next year when Harvick's gone, who's first up? Herbst or Custer to replace him?
Custer because of Joe.
Yes, 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 yes. Um, I don't know. I'm gonna still Junior Motorsports as a whole, man. They've been the exception of Allgaier, and I mean, he hadn't even ran tremendously, but they've been pretty I don't know if nonchalant's the right word, but pretty underperforming this year. And I don't know if it's a driver problem or if it's a junior problem, but they just I don't know, it seems like they've taken a step back from last year. Now obviously Gregson's a pretty good talent and he does what he does, he's a good driver, but are they just is it a driver problem, do you think, or do you think it's more of a junior problem at this
I
point?
think it's a partial driver problem, partial bad luck problem. I think that, and I think the tracks that they've run at so far just don't suit them very well. Gibbs owns Phoenix, other than Allgaier. Las Vegas is just the first. I was really surprised with Chandler Smith and Austin Hill's speed at Las Vegas. That was very surprising to me. And California is it's out there because it's the old pavement and all that. So uh, I think they'll be okay. We'll really start seeing it once it gets summertime and they go to the Poconos, the Charlottes, and Kansas and places like that, Nashville, where they won last year. I'm not saying they won all those, so I really
Darlington.
don't remember, but I know Allgaier won it. Um, Nashville and Barry won it. Charlotte, and I just think I just think they're going to
Darlington.
get hot later on. They'll be fine. Other
Darlington.
than the 9 and the 1.
Um on that subject of Chandler Smith, I'm going to sell colleague as well. I'm so tired of Kyle Busch running second or third and not being fast enough to get the P1. I'm so tired of it. I don't know what they got to do to elevate this program, but holy moly, with the exception of a road course or a super speedway, they got to figure it out.
Well, that was
It's
Landon Castle's car last year, so he only had one shot at winning. It was New Hampshire last year. So Kyle's already doing better than it was last year, but that just speaks to the talent of Kyle.
and Chandler Smith's running pretty well.
Yeah, I was shocked by that. I'll be surprised if it keeps up.
Still gonna keep buying stock in RCR.
I'm going
Well,
to
I'm
keep
not gonna say
selling it because today
RCR.
was another abysmal day for RCR.
I'm still on the subject of Xfinity.
Oh,
I didn't mean RCR as a whole. Sheldon Creed's got to figure it out. Austin Hill's still great. Um, yeah, man. Is okay. Let me ask you this: Al Busch has come in and he's ran well. Um, Today he restarted fifth after shout out to the eight pit crew. They ran had a really good final stop, two tire stop, put him +7. He was running, I think, 12th before he went in, ended up coming out fifth, and got absolutely screwed. Another sell. Don't want to interrupt myself. But I'm selling these scoring loops. Who thought it was a good idea to go off of scoring loops instead of time of caution, like position? Tell me what sense does that make? Explain that to me real quick.
I don't have an idea on that, to be honest with you. I've always thought it was stupid.
I mean, Kyle Busch is a car, half a car length ahead of Alex Bowman, and a nose in front of Christopher Bell, but still gets put behind him in P10. Somehow comes out with I think it was P7, but um, plus one or plus two positions on the day. Started ninth and ended up finishing up seventh. Um, Austin Dillon, man,
Yeah, but Kyle was not a top 10 car. He used strategy
no,
to finish up there. Yeah, and Dylan's running putrid. I think he finished 20th today. Um,
one lap down, or did he get back a lead lap at the end? I think he got. I think he was a
he
lap
got the
down
wave
because
around. He was 20th before the caution come out, so I'm just assuming he finished around there.
so RCR. I mean, they're not a terrible team. Let's get that established. Is Austin Dillon kind of getting exposed now that he's got a teammate that's
No, because I
yeah,
think Kyle Busch ran bad last week and he ran bad again today. I think RCR as a whole is just not that good.
I don't know, man. I feel like he ran better than what that car was. I really do. I think Randall Burnett kind of swung. I mean, he definitely swung and missed
The eight car
last week.
last year finished third on speed.
I mean, this year it's I don't know, man. Swing and a miss again.
I'll be shocked if they win another race. I'll just go out there and
But
say it.
I mean, what's that?
I'll be shocked if they win another race.
That's bold. That's very bold. Um, yeah, I don't know, man. I feel like when I saw at Auto Club, was pleasantly surprised, and I feel
Yeah,
like
but
it's
Auto Club is such a unique track.
Michigan
Yeah, but Michigan's
similar.
not wore out.
I don't know,
It's
man.
that paved.
Uh,
Homestead's the closest thing to Auto Club.
I still feel like Kyle Busch is a better driver than Reddick.
Yeah.
Um, and that's going to show at some point. I'm not saying it's going to go out and light the world on fire this year. Maybe I was a little
No,
bit
what I think
ahead
has
of the
happened
gun.
is I think last year this new car it was a relative even playing field, and I think now Hendrick has something figured out, and the rest of the field is going to pay the price. And I don't know what I think. I think must be this package really falls into Harvick's Phoenix dominant hand, and that's why he was. I mean, it's been a little while since he actually challenged for a win at Phoenix. I mean, to be completely honest, so that was kind of. I mean, that's his wheelhouse though. So I think this package really helped whatever he's good at Phoenix. That's what it highlighted today. But these Hendrick cars are just lights out,
I
especially the
mean,
five
all
and the
four
24.
cars were in the top 10. And I said it last week, and you kind of doubted me. I still think of Chase Elliott said they go 1, 2, 3 last week. Nothing against Josh Berry. He ran
Yeah, he got
a
a
good
top
race
10
today,
today.
but I feel like you could put. I mean, bold take. I feel like you could put almost anybody in that seat right now with even a smidge of talent, and they could be competitive in one of those cars at this point.
I
Am I
I hope
wrong?
I hope they're giving Jordan Taylor a lot of sim time because I would love to see him go out and win that race in that nine car because the nine car is fast enough to do it.
So we were wrong about Byron. We were sitting there talking about how Byron hadn't really shown up, and then he goes out and rattles off 2 in a row. When does Larson? Is Larson going to go out and knock off 4 in a row now? Am I gonna?
No, because Atlanta, I don't think a Hendrick car is going to win Atlanta. Um,
I mean, dude, I'm not talking about now. I'm talking about at some point this year. I mean, it's a long,
nah,
long
he ain't going to
season.
win four in a row. No
I
way.
got a feeling it could be a very, very long season if they keep up. It's
It
also going to
is.
be interesting to see what comes out of these if they get a penalty for those not
Yes,
the hitch flaps, but whatever NASCAR saw the vents.
louvers or whatever they're called. I don't even know if that's what
Yeah.
it's called.
Um, and at first I was kind of like, whatever, not really that big of a deal. But then I started reading into what they were for and how they affect the engine and the cooling within the engine. I don't know, man. I feel like they kind of proved today that um it really doesn't make too much of a difference. But it'll be interesting to see what kind of penalties come. It
Yes.
was a what was it? It was the Hendrick cars And who else
The
was it a track
31.
house car?
The
A
31.
calling car. So interesting. I would be surprised if anything comes out of it, to be honest with you. I know last year they were really strict, but I
This
feel
is
like
Chad
NASCAR is going to
Canals we're
find a way
talking
to,
about.
yeah, but they're going to find a way to get this swept under the rug, and nothing was going to come of it. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is
I
at
bet
this
they would
point.
have dropped the hammer on the 31 though if it was just him. I'm serious too.
You talk about ejecting crew chief, car chief, and everybody.
Possibly.
Same thing they did with Keselowski last year.
Mm-hmm. Very similar.
I mean, one thing I hate is NASCAR is black and white, and it seems like they move the goalposts depending on who it is, and yeah, that's aggravating as can
Yeah.
be. But I don't know, same thing happened with McDowell last year. I
Mm-hmm.
don't,
Same. You're right.
I don't know. But anyway, we finally got the West Coast swing behind us. Unfortunately,
Thank
we got to go
God.
back out there for championship weekend. Got to go back out there for Sonoma, and got to go to Vegas one more time. Um, yeah, we'll cross that bridge when it happens. Let me ask you this: what do you enjoy more, the West Coast swing or that first swing of NBC after the break? We go Indy Road Course, Pocono, Richmond, and all that.
I think I enjoyed the West Coast swing more, to be honest.
It's pretty bad, man. And I think I mentioned it last week, the week before on the podcast. I was to the point where I was so ready for racing. I was like, man, I'm not gonna be bored. I'm just so ready for racing, and I'm so bored right now in terms of this stuff and how bad this racing has been. Hopefully, it only weighs up.
Yes.
Hopefully, but
Agreed.
with that said, expectations are still low. I'm gonna do one more sell real quick before we move on. I'm gonna sell NASCAR on Fox.
Yeah, me too.
You know how bad you have to be with commercials for you to make a point that you're making a point that this is gonna be your last commercial break
Oh, I
before
know.
for the rest of the race. You know how bad that is.
Oh, I do.
You
It's
get that much backlash that you make that a point to go out and say, "Yeah, this is it. This is it." That's absolutely ridiculous. And of course, I know we're paying the bills and everything, but still, I think it's the dumbest thing in the world. But
I agree.
it is what it is. Anyway, on to Atlanta. What are you expecting for Atlanta? I know we touched on it briefly,
Yeah, I'm
but
expecting pack racing difficult to pass because how narrow it is. Um, I'm expecting Corey LaJoy to run well because he did last year, so why not again this year? And I'll just go ahead and give you my top three right now. I think that this is the race where Brad Keselowski's finally going to win, and they've run really well this year. I'm going to buy into some RFK. I think Keselowski will win. I think second place will go to um uh Joey Logano, sure, and I'll give a nod to Corey LaJoy and say he's going to finish third.
so I like that RFK play, but I like the other driver in there. I think Chris Busher or Christopher Busher, as he's affectionately known as, could be a little bit better play. I'm gonna say Blaney, and that third person, it could literally be anybody. I
Yeah, it
mean,
could be.
literally anybody. Um, I'm gonna say I want to say Austin Dillon, just the whole wild card,
Yeah,
because there's one plate race a year where he just goes out and he's just there. Um, well, I mean he's pretty much there for all of them, but
I know
I'm
what
gonna
you
say
mean. Yeah,
I'm gonna say Dillon
not a
and
bad pick.
Austin, not Ty, not Ty.
Yeah, definitely not Ty. Ty is someone I'm selling. If there's any stock left, you need to sell it because if you still have stock, and you have problems at this point.
How about Xfinity?
Okay, I'll go Junior Motorsports, and I'll go with we'll go with Allgaier winning. Second place, we'll say that boy, this is kind of tough. Um, Parker Kligerman, sure, why not? Third place,
48. Wow.
yeah, why not? Third place, we'll go with Austin Hill. I don't know. I see maybe a last late race pass by Hill. He's leading probably. Dude's elite on super speedway, so uh, but you can't pick him win them all, I guess. But you can certainly pick him to be in the top three at this point.
I'm gonna go and continue to do just that. Matter of fact, I'm gonna keep two of my three the same. I'm gonna go Hill, John Hunter Nemechek. I think is gonna be in contention. I don't know if he finishes the race.
Right,
Um, but I'm gonna put him up there, and I'm gonna change it. I'm gonna say I think Josh Berry could go out there and shake something up. I think I'm gonna say Josh Berry. No particular reason.
right.
Just for the fact
Yeah,
that I
I
want to
mean,
get away from I mean honestly at this point you can go pick either one of those three. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna change that. I'm gonna go my third is gonna be Chandler Smith. I think the way that he's ran and his aggressiveness could definitely be something to watch at Atlanta,
yeah.
depending on how that race is. And um they are running a night race. For the Xfinity race, truck race will be during the day. Xfinity race will be at night. It's gonna be a cold weekend as a whole. Do you think that's gonna play that much of a difference into the Xfinity and truck race at all?
I yes, and I'll say I'm comparing it to the truck race last year, which was not packish. It kind of was, but looked more like a Michigan truck race. Like if you go on YouTube, go watch a Michigan truck race. That's what the Atlanta race was last year. I do not expect that again. I'm expecting more Talladega Daytona style racing. Um, for the truck race. So, and I don't necessarily think anything in particular, like a change, is going to cause that. I just think that they being the first cars on that racetrack like that did not know how to respond to it, and now they do because they've seen the Cup guys, they've seen the Xfinity guys on it. Um, for trucks, my three to watch, or I guess predicting who will win will be Corey Heim won it last year. Someone's got to repeat. We'll go with Corey Heim. Um, Second place, we'll go with the old Wiley veteran Crafton. And surviving the wreck fest on the last lap, just to irritate you, we'll say Haley Deegan finishes third.
Uh so last year, was it last year or was it 2021? I think it was last year. She got pulled out of the car because her truck blew up and her crew chief didn't believe her that her truck blew up, and then she got a bunch of smoke inhalation.
Yeah.
I remember watching that, and I was like, "Huh, that's not good." Heard a big pop, and then she was getting drug out. Um, Top three, I like the Corey Heim play. Think it could be very well could go back to back. Um, let's say Ben Rhodes again, no particular order,
Mhm.
and just because of the chaos, I'm gonna say Matty D.
Yeah, that's a good pick.
Again, no particular order. Um, yeah, like I said, expectations are a lot higher for Atlanta.
Yes.
Honestly, going forward,
My
but,
expectations are higher for Coda now than they are for Phoenix in the fall.
I think it's gonna be interesting to see Coda where it actually races normal and not
Yeah.
um how do you say
With the
monsoony.
Yeah, and also without the cautions with the stage break, that's going to be what I'm most interested in. And I want it in a monsoon though.
Yeah, I think that could definitely that no caution could definitely be a pretty big plus
They might
on
go
that.
flag to flag.
Yeah, very well could, especially if they do. Yeah, I mean with the local yellows and everything. Then after that, we get to go have a grand old time at Texas, which I think we're going to be back on here rambling, complaining about that. And then we go to Bristol Dirt, which, yeah, fun stretch here. Could be a good stretch.
Could
Very
be.
good stretch. But yeah, outside of that, is there anything else we haven't touched on that you can think of?
No, I kind of spoke my piece tonight. Looking forward to Atlanta just to get away from these last two races. To be quite honest with you.
Yeah, hadn't been started out really high and got pretty bad. I won't have the pleasure of dealing with it, but fortunately for you, Danica will be out of the booth, and you get to hear old Smoke back in the booth next week. I'm pretty sure.
Mm, lovely.
So it'll be good. Um, it'll be a grand old time. With that being said, I think this is pretty much it. There really hadn't been a whole lot to discuss,
Yep.
whole lot of nothingness. So with that being said, I think we're gonna hang up the headset on this episode and call it an episode.
All right, guys. We'll see you next week.
See you next week.